city of São Paulo, Brazil. I wanted to address some things that's been coming up a lot when I talk to people, in terms of the minds of folks and what they're thinking about right now in terms of getting out and moving abroad immediately. One of the deterrents, I think, for a lot of people from moving abroad is, the ability to go somewhere and post up for a while. When you're moving, it's not always that attractive to be going from place to place. And some countries, aren't as generous with letting you stay in their country for extended stays, right? But there are a lot of countries that are quite generous about it and make it so that it's not this incredibly overwhelming process, right? And you can actually stay ongoing for years at a time. So I wanted to talk about some of those countries that are the easiest to get long-term stay visas, residencies, or whatever. Um, I was talking to this other woman who's down here in South America. She's not here in Brazil. Hi there. About it, and we both have come to the conclusion that, you know, I'd say one of the best countries to go to right now, especially in your planning period. So, say for instance, you want to get out right now, you don't want to have to apply for visas, you don't want to have to think about being kicked out or having to leave in 3 months' time, which is kind of typical. Um, a good place to go. And, maybe a lot of African Americans won't vibe with this that much, but a good place to go in that circumstance would be somewhere like the Balkans to Albania. And the reason Albania is really good for going somewhere just to get out of the country, if you're ready to just get out of all that energy and get your mind straight, that is a peaceful country. Supposedly, they are, kind enough to black people, so it's not like you're going to be dealing with a lot of outright racist shit. Um, they give you a year up front. You don't have to apply for anything. Yeah, you get a year up front, which is unheard of. That's very rare. And so a lot of us are talking about Albania being a good spot to jump off to while you plan. Most of us are not going to necessarily want to stay there. It's just not no real cultural connection. But you might want to go there just to get your head straight, to get out of the U.S. so you can think straight. What about jobs? Jessica, jobs are interesting. I've always had either small businesses online or I had jobs online working for American companies or companies in the Virgin Islands. And so the job thing, you're always going to want to have something online that's generating income for you, some things really. And so while, while it is possible to get jobs in other countries, especially. And the number one thing that a lot of us have done, I used to do a lot of back when I first started traveling, like 20 something years ago, is teach English. So, what you can do is start preparing, especially if you have a bachelor's degree, start preparing by looking for roles in these countries that are easy to get into, like Albania, like Vietnam, like Thailand, what we're about to talk about, some of these countries. Um, you start preparing by looking on job boards. They have the Dave's ESL Cafe has been a really consistent job board over the last 20 something years. Amazing. I have gotten so many English gigs off that job board back when I was, living in Europe and Africa, traveling around and doing different things with my kids. So that's something that you want to look into. Um, I'm sure Albania, being a non-English speaking country, has options and opportunities in that regard for teaching English. So yeah, that was a really good question. But your best bet, and I haven't been super super successful with this yet, but your best bet is to make sure you have solid streams via the internet, whether that's a Shopify store selling digital guides and digital, downloads, something like that, a stand store. Okay, you have a CDL. Yeah, I mean, the fact of the matter is you could come somewhere like, now Brazil's not as easy because they're asking for visas now. But where I am here in Brazil, you could come out here and you could get a job just as a native speaker. Now, is that job going to be amazing? No, it's not going to pay that much. Matter of fact, they pay less than they did when I first taught English in Brazil, which was 25 years ago. okay, because of just inflation and everything like that. So it will be enough to pay your rent. Then if you have some, and maybe even some food. But just saying, there are places you can go where you actually don't even need the bachelor's, but the BA is just going to put you on another level. My daughter, for example, she teaches online. She lives with me. She's 21. She doesn't. She didn't pursue the college route when she got out of school. She just went straight to work, working in my girlfriend's clinic. And now she had found herself a job a couple of years back where she is she's a language, she's a reading, an early reading teacher. And she got that with, just her high school diploma. And that's online. The company's name, I'm trying to remember the name of the company my daughter works for. Ignite Learning. And they hire a lot of people. Okay, a lot of people. It takes a while. The training is super long and extended. It will feel like, oh man, am I even going to make money doing this? But once it picks up and gets going, it's actually a good pay and a good stable job. So that's something that she does. So that's an option for someone who's just an English speaker, and basically that's the main skill set that they have. Okay, so yeah, something to think about there. Um, But yeah, Albania, we were saying, is definitely a good option for ease in your transition. Another good option that I'm hearing a lot of people are having a pretty good time with, and a lot of Black folks especially are enjoying, is Thailand. And Thailand has different levels of visas that are relatively easy to get, in particular because Thailand has a very rich culture, lots of things you can learn, from Muay Thai to Thai cooking to the language. And so they will give you options for coming and staying there and renewing as a learner, as someone who's going through an educational process. And you can just stay ongoing as long as you're studying something. So that's a really amazing option, right? Um, and I believe in Thailand, you can also do like the visa runs where you go and you cross the border and go stay maybe somewhere else, Vietnam or wherever, and then come back and you can renew your stay. So, you also have Vietnam, the Yarbros, who are an amazing YouTube channel here. Married couple, they travel all over the world. They're so amazing. But they have really fallen in love with Vietnam as kind of a base for them. And so they're doing the Vietnam thing. That's another easy one and a really good one for getting an English teaching role, like in schools, like hands on there. Okay. These are all places that we can go to right now. I'm not into promoting fear and all of that. And, oh, you guys got to run, you got to get out of there, because everybody's not going to be able to, nor even feel the need or want to leave the U.S. But so when I come on, I'm always just talking to the people who deep down inside just feel like that is not how they want to live their lives. And it's beyond just what's going on in terms of the war and all that. It's just the whole quality of life is not there. It's just not there. It's never really been there for me, which is why I've always traveled. But I feel you, Jessica. I totally feel you. I haven't lived in the U.S. mainland for many years, but when I did, I'm not gonna say I wasn't comfortable because I lived in a really amazing town called Athens, Georgia. So I had a good time. I had a community. It was great. But after a while, I did start to get the sense of just pending doom type of energy living in the US. And I never would stay there very, very long. I would always, the max I would stay would be like a year over the last 20 years, a year at a time, maybe a year and a half. Then I would go somewhere. But I just said that pending doom energy, the spirit of constant bombardment with being sprayed, chemicals in the air, the mind control, the fact that so many people around me were so sleepwalking, I found it to be very odd because I have been awake for a long time. Hi, sis. Retired and rooted in Egypt, y'all. Good to see you. We got another one of our sisters on right now. She is in Egypt. She's been living there for years, helping people come out to Egypt. If you're feeling drawn to Africa She's a great contact for learning about your options for Egypt. Yeah, y'all. So, and so that is kind of, for me, I had to get out of there. And so I totally understand you feeling like you couldn't really, or you don't feel really comfortable even going out and just having a normal life. And when you come somewhere else in another country like Brazil or Egypt or whatever, I mean, these countries, like you feel enthralled to be out. You feel excited, you feel safe. I don't feel dangerous here. Yes, sis. I don't feel like danger when I'm moving around here in Brazil. Now, does Brazil have cities and places where you need to be extra aware? Absolutely, especially in the urban areas. But overall, it's not that pending doom. And, I am very aware of what's happening geopolitically, and I do pay attention to things because we can tell that the U.S. government will turn on the dime and do anything to anyone. They don't have no respect for no boundaries of no country, no sovereignty of anything. So we know we're dealing with a very rogue situation. So I do pay attention. But I'm just so grateful to live somewhere where I feel so excited just to be out and about, you know? So yeah, Albania, Thailand, Vietnam are good options. Another option that I don't bring up that much that I have experienced, I lived in Costa Rica a few years back. Me and my kids wanted to go see if we liked it there. We had been in Brazil at the time. Oh yeah, I'm very grateful, sis. I'm blessed for real. We have been living in Brazil, but we wanted to make sure we checked Costa Rica out, and then we had to go back to the Virgin Islands for a minute for some, family and friends related stuff. So we went in and we got to Costa Rica, and we ended up staying like 6 months. And so a lot of people are looking for something where they can zip back to the States within an hour or two. They want that proximity, but they want a shift in the energy. And I would say Costa Rica is the closest place where you can really get a full kind of shift and still have that proximity. And so Costa Rica allows you to do border runs. It's kind of annoying because you have to go every 3 months instead of, you being able to stay 6, for instance, and then worry about your next move. But either way it goes, that's very plausible. You can't do that here in Brazil. So, it's like, you get 6 months here. So it's easy. You renew right here. But once your 6 months is up, you got to go, unless you have residency or a special visa. So, yeah, Costa Rica is an easy option. I don't even think about it out here, Jessica, sex trafficking. I literally, does it happen? Oh, for sure. But it's there's so much good energy. There's such a bombardment of like family vibes and people and like the respect for children and family. And Brazil don't play. So for instance, one of these passport bros was out here doing what they do, and he apparently was getting into some African himself, where he was trying to get kids, a brother from the States, was trying to get young girls and kids from Rio de Janeiro and bringing them to wealthy, probably Caucasian men, right? Here, I think he was trying to bring them to São Paulo. We're about 5 hours from Rio. And so, honey, when they caught this man, I don't think they let him go yet. They caught him in Brazil. They had him all over the news. These passport bros aren't welcome here. They put that guy in jail right away. They did a whole raid. The raid was all over Brazilian news. Brazilians was going off. They don't play that and don't mess with their children. And, they're just a very family oriented culture. And so, though those things happen, a lot of bad stuff happens out here. It's not like the overwhelming, frequency. And so I like that. Mostly, this is a very joyful culture here. So they're into a lot of dance, a lot of music, like probably similar to Egypt. Lots of nature. Everyone likes to work out. It's a very active and sporty culture. Lots of dance and music. They are obsessed with, improv music sessions and playing instruments and everybody singing and dancing. Everybody dances out here. So it's just a very joyful culture. And so that is, we don't think about those kind of things like that. You don't have it in your mind as much. but I'm sure it exists. I seen it and heard about it on the news. Oh, you did see it, girl? That was a mess, and I don't think they let him go, and he doesn't deserve to go nowhere. And he was like some crazy guy. He had been like always getting arrested for different things in the U.S., like just being a rabble rouser, doing all kinds of wild shit. And yeah, I'm glad that they, got him. That's a vacay per quarter. What do you mean, sis? That looks like you may have got off, but yeah. So yeah, that is some of the things that I feel you need to be thinking about in terms of yeah is you don't need to be actually. Let me come back. I'm walking and trying to keep my breath and everything. Excuse me, but you don't need to be worrying yourself per se about that feeling of being trafficked and all of that. And that is something as a parent with bigger kids, one of them is grown. I'd be thinking about that. I'm like, my God, I wouldn't be comfortable with my daughter moving around and doing all these things on her own like I'm comfortable here. Doesn't mean she can't, go through something bad out here. No, I mean, of course, that is a possibility. But I feel so much more at ease about her, out Ubering, going out late night, doing different things. And we're in a big city, so that says something for the sense of security that we have here. Now, when we lived previous to this, we usually were based in the Virgin Islands, and the Virgin Islands is an American territory, but it's just in the Caribbean, right? Um, we, I was very uncomfortable with her out and about because that American influence of it being a colony of the United States was so intense, and that dark, evil spirit was so heavy on that island that it was scary there. Like they would be shooting on a little island, so dark. It had its like amazing aspects, but it had a really dark spirit there. And so, a lot of shootouts, a lot of bad stuff happening. And so didn't even, I wouldn't even have been comfortable with her doing nothing out there for nothing. Yeah, my sister's worried about my plans to move abroad. Is she worried? Well, I mean, one thing for sure, y'all gonna have to make a decision for yourselves, because the way they're acting right now, it's like they're trying to kettle folks where they be stuck in the U.S. And it's like, why do you want people to be stuck in the U.S.? The way they're passing laws, the way they're trying to make it so that it's harder for people to get out. They got the ICE in the airports. They're doing a lot of weird stuff. And it just makes you think that there's a reason why they want to keep people in. So unfortunately, family that's not as awake and aware may have to, we might have to do some separation for a while from them. Sadly, I have a lot of family in the US that I love, really great people. They aren't on what I'm on, even though a lot of them are starting to wake up because a lot of people are waking up right now. But my cousins are like me. All my male cousins travel all over the world all the time and be gone. Some of them are like my age and they're like wealthy and they live in other countries. But like, yeah, no. When family's not on board, sometimes we just have to, bless them, and show them appreciation for caring, but also be prepared to do what we need to do. And I just feel like, and like again, I don't like to push fear, but I would say that it's important that folks start figuring out what way they want to go, soon, because I wouldn't want to be stuck out there. And you know what I mean? And they haven't shown themselves to have any kind of good intention for US citizens at all. So forget about Iran and all these other places. They don't even have good intention for the folks that live there, the taxpayers, the constituency. They don't care. We're dealing with a rogue situation. And so it's a good, but I feel you and I know how it feels. My family always thought I was crazy because I could not stomach staying in the U.S. long term with my kids, having them in those horrible schools. I just could not do it. Like, I tried it. I tried to put my kids in school. I tried to do things, and it was just, that energy was so disgusting. I couldn't do it. So I started homeschooling, and I started making sure I was gone most of the time. And they overall didn't grow up out there, thank God. And just thinking of, they think you're crazy. Oh yeah, they gonna think you're crazy. Surprisingly, though, a lot of folks are waking up right now. So it's surprising that anyone would think you're crazy with the state of things in the U.S. But yeah, they'll still kind of have you feel like you're off balance. And I know there's some really intense YouTubers that are like, you gotta go. And there is a sense of urgency for sure. But, at the end of the day, a lot of this stuff is spiritual. So it's like, it's going to be what it's going to be. People are going to end up where they end up at. But I would like to see more people who do feel drawn and do feel a call to leave, be able to make that move. Because there's a reason why you're being called out of the insanity. And there are a lot of places where you can go and still have levels of peace. There just are still. Yeah. Yeah, full on refugees. I mean, they even have refugee status you can apply for pretty, yes, I mean, um, pretty easily here in Brazil. They're big on accepting refugees. That's why here in the city I live in, there's a ton of Haitians, a ton of West Africans in particular, and Central Africans from Angola. Um, Really huge refugee community. Lots of Africans here because Brazil is just like that. They accept people. Hold on, so yeah, that's I'm about to check out here, y'all, with this toilet paper. But yeah, so I'm still with you. I'm just checking out. Olá, bom dia. Tudo bem? Estou fazendo a live stream. Mm-hmm. Ah, acredito. But yeah, so obviously, if you come out here, you would need to get the language down. It's not impossible to move around without it, but it makes it difficult. But muito obrigada, tchau, tchau. But yeah, really warm, friendly place, lovely place here in Brazil. Yeah. I learned Portuguese when I first lived out here 25 years ago, right? Because at that time I was childless. I was in them streets. I was living in Salvador, Bahia, up north, and it was just like hella black folk. It was live. It was nothing but dancing and capoeira and doing stuff in the streets, playing music, drumming. That was just a lifestyle. So I was, a young child-free woman at that time, so I was doing it. And I had a little boyfriend, and really the way you get a language down is I have a partner. So it gave me a good foundation. And then through the years, I still was doing Afro-Brazilian dance and still had a lot of Brazilian friends and stuff like that. So it kind of kept it kind of warmed up for me. And I started coming back out here and back and forth. And just through time have picked it up. I'm not fluent, even though a lot of these people think I am and be thinking, they're like, oh yeah, your other lifetime, you were Brazilian. They think I'm like some kind of reincarnation of a Brazilian. It's hilarious. But I am like super comfortable with this culture at this point after having lived here for I probably only spent like 4 years of my life in this country, but um, we're going on 2 this time. Yeah, so but I still I'm getting a little bit of a good grasp on the language. But here it's a language that has a lot of colloquialism, so it's very regional specific. So the way they speak it up north where I originally lived and the way they speak it down here is quite different. So you kind of have to learn. Yeah. You've been asking some good questions. Thank you, Jessica. Um, do you think you're pretty close to making that move, or where are you at with everything? There's so many. I mean, gosh, even oh man, there's so many of us all over now. I'm still looking at Kenya for the future, sis. I don't know if retired and rooted in Egypt. Are you still on? I'm still looking at Kenya for the future as a second option. You got, oh, you already got your stuff for Brazil, girl. Don't be scared to come out here. If you come out here, link me, hit me up. I can help. I can support. Check out some of my shorts and stuff. I actually do tours and things like that, and consultation can help people in their planning. But oh, you already got your visa. You got to come. I didn't know you were coming out here. It's wonderful. You just have to figure out what region you want to live in. But one of the things about Brazil is it is huge, gigantic, and your options are unlimited. So if you don't want the big city thing, which is where I am, and I love it, and I'm someone who comes from small towns and islands, but I love it here. Then maybe you want to do a smaller city, or maybe even a small town. Okay, Brazil, but Salvador is where I started. My original first place. I've lived in 3 locations in Brazil. Salvador is amazing. It's also obviously very, very melanated. Uh-huh. So it's wonderful. The difference, and I'm gonna have to get ready to go because I gotta work. I still have a jobby job. But the difference between São Paulo and Salvador is when you come to São Paulo, because it's such a huge metropolitan area, it's pretty hard at first glance to figure out, how to vibes, how to get in with people, where to go. It's just gigantic. It's somewhere where you automatically would need to be guided a little bit. So that is Sao Paulo. Whereas Salvador, you get there, you jump in, you're in the middle of town, and you're meeting people. It's, art and creativity everywhere. You just get in with folks. You flow from place to place. If you don't have kids, it's better because it's that kind of like loose, freed up type of spot. And so, but it's a small city. I'm gonna put all of my links below this video. I might have to do it in a bit because I got to get in the shower, but I put all my links here, including my email. I got links for consultation, got everything. So you can email me or reach out to me and we can go from there, see what you need, okay? And then but my specialty is, besides the consulting, is art tours. So I take people to experience the street arts, and if they want to do like a music and dance thing, I can take them into that world here. Racism, I don't, that's not, I don't have any experience with it here. So I don't know. I mean, it's just, I know maybe people do, because they do have like an institutional racism here, but the racism outward is actually illegal in this country. So if you got caught up calling somebody a derogatory name and they went to the police about it, you actually could get arrested. So yeah, just name calling. They just happened to an Argentinian woman. So yeah, Brazil, they have locked it down on a superficial level in terms of you being outright with racism, but the institutional aspect of that is, goes without. You can't deny it because, the bulk of the people that have wealth in this country are, looters, colonizers, and so they're the ones that have maintained all the wealth, and they've done a lot to keep that. So that's the reality. But yeah, people talk about racism. I'm like, no, you're way more likely to experience some weirdness in the States than here. Um, but in the States, we have, kind of gotten to a point where I'm not gonna say we're equal in opportunities and everything, not at all. But, Black folk have made a lot of strides and are doing a lot of good stuff in the US. And it's happening here too, just in a slower way, post-colonially, So, so yeah, that's the vibes. Oh, I'm having such a nice time talking to you. Yeah, I will put my links in. You can find them um, under the video, and you can reach out to me. I'm trying to come on here more, so yeah, I'll be on in the mornings. Okay, y'all, have a wonderful day. So good talking. Peace and love.